Welcome to Carol and Gary's See America Tour. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Apache Junction, Arizona. A few days after we arrived, Carol, Jasper, and I decided to check out the Apache Trail Loop, which is a scenic 120-mile drive through the Superstition Mountains. The 120-mile loop covers this entire square, but the Apache Trail itself covers this approximately 50-mile stretch along the northwest side of the map. Originally, the Apache Trail was built as a wagon route for the construction of the Roosevelt Dam between 1902 and 1909. This was the first step in the Salt River Project, which harnessed the Salt River to provide electricity, flood control, and irrigation to the Phoenix area. The Apache Trail was named after the Native American Indians who originally used this trail to migrate through the Superstition Mountains for over 1,000 years. We drove northeast on Arizona Highway 88 out of Apache Junction. The first 28 miles of the Apache Trail are paved, but the last 22 miles are not. We stopped briefly at Goldfield, which is supposed to be an abandoned ghost town, but tourism has apparently brought this small settlement back to life. Beginning to see large rock formations, we stopped to take pictures. After Goldfield, we stopped at Canyon Lake. There is a boat that takes people around the lake sightseeing. Next we passed Tortilla Flats. Tortilla Flats is made up of several small touristy shops along the side of the road. You can get something to eat or drink or buy souvenirs. Since we had Jasper with us, we didn't stop. We did stop when we got to Fish Creek Hill to take some more pictures. I almost stepped on this little guy. Can you see him sitting on the rocks? I had been seeing signs along the road warning of animals, but it wasn't until we stopped at Fish Creek Hill that we finally saw a bobcat and a deer. Fish Creek Hill is the end of the paved road, and the next 2 miles were single lane with several sharp curves and no guardrails on the side of the road. Here a person is pulling a boat up the hill around one of the tight blind corners. I was glad I was parked off to the side when they came around the corner. We continued on until we got to Apache Lake, another beautiful mountain lake. It looks like people must store their boats or campers here rather than pulling it up and down the steep, narrow roads. Shortly after Apache Lake, we crossed several single-lane bridges. These pictures were taken near the bridge you just saw. By the time we arrived at Roosevelt Lake, the sun was starting to dip behind the hills, but this is a picture of the dam from the downriver side. This is a picture of the river from the upriver side. In the 1980s, it was determined that the dam was not high enough to handle the largest possible flood that could flow into the reservoir, so at a cost of $430 million, the state decided to raise the dam by 77 feet. This red arrow shows the top of the original dam. This dam raising project took 9 years to complete and used 450,000 cubic yards of concrete and 849 miles of reinforcing steel. The original dam had a road across the top of it, but before the dam could be raised, the road had to be moved. This bridge was built at a cost of $21.3 million to divert the traffic away from the top of the dam before the dam could be raised. Beginning to get dark, and over an hour from Apache Junction, we decided to postpone sightseeing and head back. Catching Highway 188 at the bridge, we drove southeast until we came to a T intersection 3 miles west of Globe, Arizona. This is State Highway 60. We turned right and headed west, passing through several small towns. We arrived back in Apache Junction at about 8 o'clock. 2 days later, we decided to drive back out to the area where we had stopped sightseeing. I had seen a sign pointing to cliff dwellings and wanted to go check this out. We were driving east along Highway 60, reversing the route from 2 days ago. Near the town of Globe, Arizona, where we would be turning onto Highway 188, we saw several open-pit copper mines. Just before we arrived in the town of Roosevelt, where the large lake was located, we saw a scenic overlook sign, so we decided to pull over. Turns out this was information about the cliff dwellings that we were trying to find. Here is a view of the cliff dwellings from the scenic overlook. A sign said that the visitor center was 2 miles away. From the visitor center, we walked approximately 1 mile up a long, steep sidewalk in a switchback configuration, but once we arrived at the cave where the ruins were contained, we found them to be very informative. The Salado Indians built many villages between 1150 and 1450 AD. They harvested from the desert and practiced irrigation farming. They made beautifully painted pottery, wove cotton, and traded with neighboring cultures. This dwelling was abandoned more than 500 years ago, but no one knows why the Salado left. This structure contains 16 ground floor rooms and 4 second-story rooms, but most are no longer structurally sound, so visitors are not allowed to see them. Originally, the entrance was elevated with access by a ladder. When inhabitants wanted to deny access, they would pull up the ladder. This is a picture of the parking lot and visitor center from the cliff dwellings above. This is a view of Roosevelt Lake from the cliff dwellings. Well, this wraps up our first snowbirding adventure of the season. The weather has been nice and we continue meeting more people. If you like this video but have not yet subscribed, please do so to be notified of future videos, and feel free to share with your friends. Thanks for watching.